I want to tell you a little bit about the overall mission of my office. And then, as John said, I want to give you some specifics, just take the lid off the pot on ARA, the Recovery Act, a little bit, and tell you about two aspects of it, two programs under it, which I think may be relevant for some people in the room. And then I want to close by making my own point about the vagaries of Pennsylvania budgeting process. Our office is the office that when we talk about shovel-ready projects for business assistance or for assistance by the GAT, there's a sort of, in my view, a pre-phase to that, and that is you got to get communities ready to have a shovel-ready process. And in Pennsylvania, with its 2,500 plus local municipal governments, that can sometimes be a challenge because capacity at the local level is a serious issue, and we have an ongoing job to work with local officials to have them understand the development process, to help them make the right decisions about the development process, and to help them become partners in the development process. And that job falls to my office. So we have an array of programs that work with local government, train local government officials, help introduce them to the development process and to developers, and then fund in a way that we really view as gap funding, make projects possible that otherwise wouldn't happen because of market forces in communities that have a history of disinvestment. So our view is if you want our small cities in the Commonwealth, like the city of Reading, for example, to regain the role that they had in the past, you can't just rely on market forces because there's so much cost involved now that there's been these decades of disinvestment in these places, and there's infrastructure problems, and there's transportation issues, there's crime issues, and all of that. It requires an extra little slug of investment to make it possible for the private sector to come in and do what the private sector can do. And that is really the job of my office, is to provide that gap funding to level the playing field so that we can have new transformative development, private sector development in our distressed cities and towns across the Commonwealth. So overall, that's the job of our office, and we have a number of programs that do that. So let me just turn for a couple of minutes to ARA, the Recovery Act. My office has run about $400 million annually. That's its normal collective appropriation. ARA gives us an additional $500 million, but two of which may. The smaller one of the two is the Neighborhood Stabilization Program, NSP. This is designed to provide funds to municipalities to acquire property that has been foreclosed upon and to redevelop that property and make it available again for primarily housing, but also for commercial use. And we have had appropriated to us by the Congress about $60 million to spread across the Commonwealth for projects addressing those issues. We have taken applications. We will be announcing them shortly, although there's a wrinkle that I'll get to at the end. Those applications, when funded, should enable a large number of significant new bricks and mortar projects across the Commonwealth, including in Berks County, to go forward. And so if you are in a business that would benefit from participation in a bricks and mortar project that would be producing housing or commercial space, you should watch the same sources that you normally watch for information about municipalities' project bids, because there will be additional stuff going online because of the NSP. The second program, and by far the biggest piece of funding that we have anyway under the Stimulus Act, the Recovery Act, is in the so-called Weatherization Assistance Program, WAP. This is a program that has, for many, many years, worked to weatherize and insulate the homes of low-income families all across the country. It's a national program, but here in Pennsylvania, and it's rolled out through primarily the community action agencies in the counties. That program has normally had about a $40 million annual appropriation. The Recovery Act gives it, over a 3-year period, a $250 million appropriation. So this radical and enormous expansion is clearly going to enable and require the program to ramp up dramatically in very short term. This will result, we believe, in the employment of significant numbers of people from the construction trades that have experience in things like installing insulation, weather stripping, new windows, new doors, HVAC, all of that. It will result in additional equipment and materials purchases, significant additional purchases by the local provider agencies, everything from vehicles to transport crews to work sites, to refrigerators. We'll be installing energy efficient refrigerators, furnaces in eligible homes, and insulation and other building materials. So there will be significant opportunity to sell into that program going forward. And finally, of course, it's the anticipation, I think, of President Obama and the Congress and our own program that this infusion of funds into the weatherization program will be part of the jump starting of a green economy that will focus on energy conservation. As you probably know, the General Assembly has provided funding for an array of conservation-related programs promoted by the governor last year. We now have the Stimulus Act's infusion of funds into the weatherization program, and in addition, the Stimulus Act also infuses funds through our sister department, the Department of Environmental Education, Department of Environmental Protection, for conservation programs that benefit non-low income or middle income households in the way of loans for installation of things like geothermal, energy, solar, et cetera. So there's this broad spectrum of programs that taken together, we hope and expect, will jumpstart a green, conservation-oriented economy that should produce business opportunities and new employment opportunities for Pennsylvanians in the years to come.